Hello, 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 amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. We're here with these beautiful souls, and we are going to talk all about friendship. And the reason we are here, as we have already celebrated Valentine's Day, we decided let's keep this conversation going because as we grow, as we evolve, so do our friendships along the way. And so here we have amazing, beautiful souls at different generations. One being her 30s, Roxy Limon. Welcome, welcome, Roxy.
Hi,
And
Jackie.
and Jessica Tapia, who's in her 40s. Hello, Jessica. She's waving. And then Sandra, who's in her 50s, and I'm in my 50s. So welcome, Sandra,
Hey,
as well.
hello, thank
Yay!
you.
Yes. So here's the thing, amigas. As we were, just celebrated Valentine's, and it's interesting for me at least, that I haven't been celebrating Valentine's in forever. Um, as a young woman, I was in my 20s when I said like, what the heck is this all about? And I think it must have been one of those ah, who wants to do this commercial holiday? But as it turns out, as we grow and evolve, we can recreate it to be whatever we want it to be. It doesn't have to be romantic, it could be friendships. And what I have found, what has resonated in my life now as I am 51 years old, is that my friendships have evolved because I have evolved as a human being. And so now we get to celebrate this wonderful day in a way that is different, I would say. So let's start by going back in time as when we were evolving. And I know that, at least for me, like I'm 51, so it's been a long ass time since I was in my 20s, in my 30s, and in my 40s. So let's go back to being young, our younger selves, right? And so I feel like let's start this conversation by what we thought our language of love was in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, and now in our 50s. So here we have a beautiful soul, Roxy, who's in her 30s. So maybe she can lead the conversation that now that she's in her 30s, what have you, what is your language of love? And is that different from when you were in your 20s?
100%. I think when I was in my 20s, right, you just trying to figure yourself out. You're trying to find out, okay, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be? And in that time, you find these friendships of the season or of the year, whatever, that are coming and going in your life. Um, and you're not quite sure if they're going to stick for a very long period of time. Yes, you probably have some of your high school friends, you have some of your college friends, you have some of your friends from, wherever you've worked. But along the way, you make these friendships, and when you get to your 30s, and especially after having kids and after, getting married and doing all the things, you realize maybe those friendships in our 20s were not the same, and they could evolve in a way where you're going from, you're partying constantly, and now you're having babies and going to each other's, baby showers, and weddings and things like that. So I can't say that I have a lot of these friends that I've met in my 20s. I mean, I have maybe a handful of them that I still talk to today. And as life gets busy and you have different schedules, and you're living in different cities, you really have to put the effort to make those friendships last. So when now even when I became friends with Jessica, it was like things because we were always seeing each other. It was, whether it was our kids at one swimming club, another swimming club, And you kind of build those friendships based on like kind of your community and where you're at um, currently in life, right? Yeah, those friendships have changed, I know, drastically for me.
Right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if you have anything to add to that, but
I feel like it's proximity
hmm.
is of utmost importance as you are younger,
Oh yeah.
right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's what I have found because, like, for instance, like when you're in high school, when you're in college, who do you spend the most time with? Is those that you go to school, you spend like the whole day with them, and they mold you into who you are at that juncture
At
in
that time,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it continues to evolve, I would say. What do you think, Jessica?
Yeah, I think even now, I was having this conversation with my 7-year-old son last night in bed because he was giving me an example that somebody in school did something mean to another person. And, he was like, well, I don't like that little boy. And I was like, well, you've done what he's done before to your brother, And he's like, yeah. I'm like, you know, you are learning from each other right now. And none of us are perfect. And as I was talking to him, I was like realizing, I'm also learning from my friendships right now. I learned from them in my 20s, I learned from them in my 30s, and I learned from them in my 40s. I think the only a significant difference now is that I recognize and I'm very aware that I'm learning from my friendships.
Mm.
So the quality of those friendships now have become maybe way more important to me than in my 20s because the women I want to surround myself with are women that I want to learn from, or women that inspire me, or women that I can, that I see in them things that I would love to emulate or see in myself. And now the friendship is more intentional because and it was full circle with my 7-year-old where I'm like, listen, you guys are all figuring out who you're going to be right now. You're 7. You're all doing all kinds of mean things to each other. I get it, And then I went down the rabbit hole with my 7-year-old. Like, you really, if you want to be kind, surround yourself with kind kids. If you want to be smart and do good in school, surround yourself with those kids that are smart and doing good in school. And I didn't get too deep, but I said, ultimately, the choices you make and the people you surround yourself with is one of the most important choices that you have. So, you know, be wise. And he was just like, okay, mom. But I was also telling myself the same thing. Like, it's true. Like, you can now in my 40s, do I know people? Yes. But I had read somewhere, and I'm trying to be more intentional about recognize the difference between an acquaintance and a friend because they're
Yeah.
very different. The level of commitment that takes for me now to consider somebody a friend is not what is very different than an acquaintance. I know you, I casually see you, I say hello, and yes, I'm we're kind to each other, but now I look at friendship very differently, and I've learned to value friendship very differently because when you become a parent and you now have a lot of other obligations and your energy now is divided into so many other things. It's no longer just in your 20s it was all about you.
Mhm.
You didn't have kids, or maybe you didn't have a husband, but now my time is so limited that the time that I do have, I need it to be spent building meaningful connections.
Yes, absolutely. I could not have agreed more. And and I'll give my opinion after, but as you get older, it's even another layer, right, Sandra? Like it's like
Ooh, I
I
can't
mean,
wait to hear your layer of.
Sandra, tell us, what are your thoughts?
Um, when you're young, it's a different ballgame because you're around people that you don't choose, right? I mean, you're going to school, you're around the people that you are surrounded with. That's your timeline at that space and time. So, not knowing all that, you connect with certain people at where you're at, but once you become older and you see things differently, you say, wait a minute, I love this person, I grew up with this person, but I don't connect with this person anymore. So that's the change, because life is very precious. To me, I'm not going to be just, I mean, I love it. I love being around people. I love spending time with people, but I also love the quietness for myself so I can spread my love with others. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, because uh, we have to be good human beings, right? So, and in that case, you show up for others, being a good person yourself. And it's intentional, because at this point in time, we really need to be on board to show love and light. And if you're not good with yourself, how can you be good to others, right? So, but yeah, at this age, a little slower with things, because the energy is not as it was when you're in your 20s. Quieres a salir, you want to be, you
You can get
feel like you're
hungover and
missing
be
out.
if you party too much,
Yeah,
you're hungover for 3 days.
yes, it's not.
I feel that. I feel that.
I feel that now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel
So
that now.
it's just kind of like it's a whole different ballgame as you get older. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of taking step by step, and whatever's gonna fill your soul, with the people that you love. Like, Jackie's become a good friend of mine, and I mean, I love hanging out with you. I mean, just like the other day, we were at a restaurant that turned from lunch to dinner. I don't know how that happened,
What? Not Jackie.
right?
Not
I mean,
me. No, not me. Not me at all. Yo no fui. Fue
yeah.
Tete.
But it's that energy that you share it with each other. You're at a different place in time. We're all elevating. Like, where are you at in your life? Who are you attracting into your life? And so I want to be around that. I want to be around good, positive people. I want to show up as a good, positive person as well. So it's all each day. It's each day we're learning. Every day
Yeah,
we're learning. So
we are definitely learning every day. And as I've now in my 50s, 51, I do have to say that while we're being very intentional, I mean, truth be told, am I going to live another 50 years? Chances are, who no, right? Statistically
maybe.
speaking.
Hmm.
So, am I going to spend my time with BS? Am I going to spend my time with someone who's draining my energy? Am I going to spend my time with people that actually uplift me, support me, expand me? And I do the same to them. So from my purview, I feel like, okay, I really now know that my time on this planet, in this body, in this mindset is not going to be here for more than who knows. If God, says I could be here another 50 years, that would be a blessing.
Hmm.
But statistically speaking, unless I biohack my body, maybe not. And so now it's a very intentional state of who I get to surround myself. Who do I spend my energy with? Because I as well am like, I love being with people. I love being surrounded by women of all ages. As you know, Sandra, like we have like an array of ages in our group, which is fabulous because we all bring something beautiful to the table and we learn and grow from each other and we support one another like there's no tomorrow. Like I'm just baffled at my life now than it was in my 20s, than it was in my 30s, than it was in my 40s. And I just feel like the time is now. Like, amigas, the time is now to make decisions in terms of who you get to spend time with. Friendships, long-lasting friendships, it could be one or it could be many, but decipher that. Like learn to decipher that, right? I mean, that's my thought.
Well, yeah,
I,
I mean, you want to, at this pace, think about it. This is only guaranteed, this moment.
This
Where
moment.
do I want to, where do I want to put my energy at? I want to put it somewhere where it's going to sembrar, you know, I want it to grow. And that's what I'm so blessed to have like the girls in the group now, like having like the Mariposa crew that we all
Oh, is
send
that what you
messages
guys
to
call
each other.
yourself?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
and I say to God, I go, God, thank you so much for bringing me these women into my life because they all serve a purpose in me. You know, you guys all bring out something in me as well. You know, and I'm just like so happy to be so blessed with such a beautiful souls around me. I'm so grateful. That's all I
Oh,
have to say.
me
Oh,
too.
that's
Me too.
beautiful.
Me too. And I would love that for my daughter when she gets older too, to have those beautiful blessings and season, reason, or for a lifetime, you know, acknowledge each season, acknowledge each lifetime, acknowledge the reason in those friendships.
Mhm.
Because I thought for many years that those that were in my life in my 30s and my 40s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, I thought they were going to be my lifers. And it completely changed around. So, anyhow, as we were evolving and changing like butterflies, mariposas,
Mhm.
what did you have to do to expand? Meaning, expand in your relationships, because some of us have had to stop certain friendships. And if that's you, I'd love to know, share an example and why you did it and how that has benefited you.
You know, I like you said, you have to acknowledge the reason, the season, and it happens a few times. Like I feel like I cocoon and butterfly over and over and over again. And it's happened multiple times within myself and within friendships. And typically my friendships are a reflection of where I'm at in my life, right?
Mhm.
And I found in the last few years, I think that I'm evolving a lot quicker than maybe in my 20s and my 30s. I think I stayed in periods longer, where now it feels like I'm changing quicker. Um, for me. And with that said, I feel that as I change, naturally, some of those friendships change with me, and some of those friendships they stay where they are, and we're still acquaintances, and we still, but the connection kind of stops. And I'm someone who I would say that acts of service is probably one of the love languages that I give. And it's every time that happens, and I know I'm doing it to myself, it's hard for me. It feels like a breakup. I hurt because, and for all I know, that other person has no idea. It's just me that's like realizing that this friendship right now isn't serving where I want to go or where I need to go, and it's not about them. It's just like I've realized as I've gotten older, I'm a little bit needy, and I'm not needing with everybody. Like there's acquaintances that I have that I see occasionally, but if we're gonna be friends and we're gonna get our families, commingled, and we're gonna travel together, and we're really gonna date each other, then I want you to be a good girlfriend, just like a boy. Like I would, when you were, I have a wonderful husband who takes me on dates, and maybe I'm a little bit spoiled now that's my expectation in friendships, that you occasionally call me and occasionally make a little bit of time for me. And I'm not saying I have really good friends that live a little further that I only get to see a few times a year, and I love those friendships just as much. But proximity is still at play here when you have little kids and you're in a community. And you know Roxy and I are always sending each other a ton of memes on friendship, just coincidentally, like, oh my God, this and this, what she sent me one that hit home so hard where it was it was this person talking about how I'm seeing all these memes of people like, oh, I want a friendship that's easy, that I don't have to try, it just works. Fuck that. I want a friendship that's gonna date me and like be a freaking amazing date. Like, know what I love, know that just like be a good boyfriend. Why can't girlfriends be that for each other? And well, she sent it to me and I was like, hell yeah. Like I want that. I love that I get that fulfilled with my husband, but why can't girlfriends do that for each other? Like, okay, Roxy made a comment on an outfit that I was wearing and like randomly I was like, oh, she would look cute with it. Her birthday's coming up. And I was like, oh, got her the outfit and I was like, here's a little pre-birthday, and like that makes me feel good to do for my friend because I love
Mhm.
her, and I feel that that is hard to find now because in my opinion, maybe it's the season I'm in or the age that I'm in, women have built walls up and vulnerability is hard. And I've worked a lot on that for myself. So I have no, I mean, I do struggle with it, but I love being vulnerable. I love when I can be in a space with somebody and just be completely like, this is how I feel and da da da. I love that space. I love the way
When nobody's
that,
gonna judge.
yeah, I love the way that makes me feel. I love being in spaces like that and creating spaces like that for my friendships.
Yeah.
And sometimes I run into women who like, oh, there could be such a connection, but there's a wall there.
It's a
And I
lot.
know that's not about me. I know that's just where they're at. But then I used to be like, okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's fine. Now, I don't know, in my 40s, I'm like, I love that for you, but I need more because I know that I'm gonna date the shit out of you and I'm gonna bring you flowers and I'm gonna if you're in pain, I'm gonna, and because the little time I have with you, I wanna make it so special.
Yeah.
So I'm now okay with saying, you know what? These are I want more from friendships, and that's okay.
Yes.
And if not, we can be acquaintances, and that's okay too, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Mm.
Date the shit out of you. I love
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. I do the same with Sandra. I send her all these memes and like things, and I'm like, I love you, cheek. Oh my God, I'm gonna just fucking like kiss you. Every
every
morning, I'm
morning,
like,
it's like
hey,
a cup
what's
of
up?
coffee.
And
That's
we
beautiful. Like for women to love
Yeah.
on each other like that.
yeah, and we're in our 50s,
Yes.
and Sandra's a grandmother, and we're all moms here. And to have that love, because, I love my kid, like, no, like, wow, like, I
Mm.
just want to bite her. And, but I want to bite my friends too.
Yeah, yeah. I want to bite my friends.
You
Oh
know
my
what I,
God.
do you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess I'm being silly here. But what about you, Roxy and Sandra?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And just for reference, like Jessica and I, our friendship is more, we always say we're soul sisters, just because we have like this different connection that kind of I feel like the universe brought us together. So we're more like, okay, more comfortable like a sister, right? Like I can see her, like she'll be on the phone, like I'm pooping. I'm like, oh, me too, like, but I mean, best friends could do that as well, but like soul sisters, I don't know, the universe brought us together, um, but I feel the same way when I saw that meme of the guys like, oh, you like date your friends, like go on vacations with them, like do things that they like to enjoy. So when I send it to her and we plan a lot of trips together and things outside of just like our kids, I'm like, oh, my friend will like this. So how about we do this spa or how about this restaurant, or I know we've both been wanting to go to like this hotel Drover, which is in Texas. And I'm like, telling my husband, I'm like, honey, me and Jess are going to Texas. You need to book us this hotel because I know she would like that. And I would like that too. We like the same thing. So it's really like dating your friend is like something that we kind of were like, oh shoot,
We
we
were
are dating,
doing
we're
that.
doing
We're
it.
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
it.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
now we're just putting that verbiage out there, which, but I mean, it sounds like, yeah, it's like dating a boyfriend, your boyfriend for the first time. You want them to bring you flowers. You want them to show up for you. You want them to
Mm.
plan that date. And I think we do a good job of like trying to put that effort in anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be like grand things. It could be I'm sick and she's sending me Epsom salt, like things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, no, I think it's a beautiful thing to have those connections and those relationships that again, I have tons of acquaintances, we both do, and friends and but when she calls, I'm like, "Oh shoot, it's Jessica." I'm like, "Is everything okay?" And she's like, and she'll text me and be like, because she knows I'll just pick up, I'll be anywhere, and she'll be like, "It's not urgent, so you don't have to call me back right away." But I treat her almost like my husband, like, okay, if she's calling me, it's urgent. So I'm like, she must need something, or there must be something happening, or we're planning something, or so yeah, like I agree. Dating your friend or your soul sister, um,
It's very intentional.
very
Very
intentional.
intentional.
Very
Yes.
intentional.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 1000%.
It's like, oh, we want to build on this and we want to take care of this, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, totally. Sandra, what about you?
Well, I'm thinking about this, and for instance, I like if I'm going to hang out with a friend, I think about it and I say to myself, how can I make this a magical day for us together? How can I show up as a person that can bring light to this human being that I love? So that is one thing that I love to do, is like to set an intention before I go out on a date with my girlfriend, and just show the love, like just give it all. Like what I'm feeding myself with, I want to share it with that girl that I love, which is very limited amount of women in my life. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of them. But when I'm with them, yo soy como el hombre, like, what do you want to drink? What do you, I brought you some flowers. Here's, like, here's a little gift. Here's some, like, uh, just like the other day when I got you the little book, those are the things that I'd say to myself, like, how can I touch her heart? Like,
Mm.
how can I bring something out of her to show the love that I have for her? So,
Oh,
yeah, so, that's where I stand with that, just it's always giving back to my girls that give to me.
I love that. I really do. That
I'm
really.
taking notes. Like,
Give back to the girls that give to me. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, yes, give back to the girls. And here's the thing, I can honestly say this, like with just in particular with Sandra. I've known Sandra for a long time and through business and but there's always been like I wanted to get to know Sandra. Like really get to know Sandra. And it wasn't until I turned 50 that we really started digging deep into our relationship. And it just goes to show that, dating friends it evolves at every generation. And now that I'm in this timeline, as Sandra would say, in this timeline in my 50s, being really consciously aware of the fact that my time is so precious on this planet that who do I want to continue to date with? And I know with Sandra, I'm like, all right, girl, we're dating each other. We're going to be in each other's life until we die because that's the next level. The ascension of our life is, because while our bodies will die, but our spirits will live.
I'll see you in the next timeline, though. The
Woo!
next
Yes.
timeline, yes.
In the next timeline.
Yeah.
So it's important for I guess all of us, right? To acknowledge that and to be very intentional with who we get to spend our time with and I really like I'm telling you like I'm like like I'm gonna bite them because I love them so much. And just to share our Sandra had invited me to, she celebrated me, which was so beautiful. And it turned to be like dusk till dawn. And I
Mhm.
was like, I want dusk till dawn friendships. I want those friendships where we get to talk, like literally talk about everything.
Mhm.
Nothing superficial. Everything is so deep. I don't want to be with superficiality. That is not my game. My time is so precious. I don't give a flying fuck. I love nice things, but that's not important to me.
Mhm.
That is not important to me. My love language is the act of service and also just being in community and being together. For me, that's very important. And as I move forward in my the rest of my life, that's what I want. And so as I God, we can continue to talk on so many levels on this language. I know a lot of us have left the house where we thought we were going to be forever, meaning in our minds with our friends. Like that space is no longer occupied because we have evolved. We've gone out of the house and now we sought out other friendships. So, what was that point in your life where you said, this friendship is no longer for me? I can't. I can't be with this person. Were there factors, situations that said, no, I'm done. I can't.
Well, when someone doesn't, when you find out that that person is talking behind your back, and it's not the first time.
Mm,
And these are people that, I mean, this is like a friend that was from high school, and how many times do you give this person a chance to, to evolve? They're not evolving, they're stuck. They're stuck in that, like, whatever it is, that toxicity of thinking. Uh, it's hard. It's hard, but it's doable. I mean, you either you can have the conversation with the person. Sometimes they want to have it with you, and sometimes they won't have it with you. But it's okay to not have that conversation with them. You wish them light, love, and you move forward, you know? And, or for instance, like when my son had passed away, this person came into my life again. And I allowed it to be because it wasn't about me. It was about my son and her being there for my son at that moment to, for herself to heal and to go through what she needed to go through at that place and time. And after that, she thought that just by doing that, we were going to continue to have a relationship, but it was done with.
it was
It's
done.
done. And
Yeah.
so, and then you hear from other friends that are still connected to this person that they're still the same person. So to me, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't wish anything, but I know that I need peace in my life. And if I have this certain person that I love, that I will always love, but I just know that I can't have her a part of my life anymore. I wish her well from far away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's not as hard when you love yourself enough
Mm.
to understand that this person brings toxicity to my life. I love myself too much to put myself through this again.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. What about you, Roxy?
For me, I don't allow toxic people in my life. I'm a straight like if you're toxic, I'm done type of person. But I do have friendships and relationships that have kind of gone south because I'm always evolving. I'm always growing. I'm always trying to be the better version of myself tomorrow than I was yesterday, right? So if I am doing that and I have these friendships that I've had for many years, but they're kind of still stuck in that mentality of, they're in their 20s or they're not trying to grow or they're not trying to prosper. It's like, I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance. And for me, there's no conversation with people. I'm kind of like, I know some people are not strong enough to hear certain things. So I kind of leave them where they're at in life, kind of stuck there, while I'm constantly growing, evolving, and being the better version of myself than I was yesterday. So I think for friendships, that I don't really like try to put myself in like toxic environments, but I know when I'm growing and I'm trying to evolve, if my friendships are not doing the same with me, I'm kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to leave you in the past and I'm going to keep going forward.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You put a clear, you delineate that line clearly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, which is important, very important. What about you, Jessica?
I mean, I've had different experiences. I've had two really good friendships that I've known for a long time, and two really different experiences. Like, I felt there was like a fork in the road where we can either talk about this and we can enhance because a lot of things are changing for us, and let's reconnect and take it to that next level. And again, these friendships I have known for, at this point, it had been over 15 years. One of the friendships, w- I took an approach of, I kind of just started to not pour into that friendship anymore, because it was always me calling, it was always me reaching out. And then we spent like a good 2 years without talking. And it hurt me so much. I love this person so much. And then one day out of nowhere, we reconnected and we met up for coffee. And lo and behold, we were able to talk about like all the things, and how, how important we were to each other. And now that friendship is stronger than it ever was, even when we were younger. And now what I love about being able to connect and me tell her, hey, well, this, or and her tell me, like, we don't get to see each other all that often because she lives far. But when we see each other, we show up for each other so hard. And I feel it's because we had that conversation. So then that happens. A few years later, I have this other friendship. We're really, really close. But again, we live really far from each other. She lives on the west side. I live out here. And I just kind of felt like distance. Naturally, distance happens. But I feel like if this is a friendship that you really, really value, for me, I feel it's worth a conversation? So I tried to have a conversation and it did not go well. And I'm not an aggressive person, so it wasn't like, it was a very like, hey, well, but I mean, that friendship is still, it's still kind of, and even though I mourn it, even now, I'm okay with it because I do feel like my intentions were in the right place. My heart was with love. This was me just saying, "Hey, there's been a few years. These are some things and that like I think we should talk about." And for whatever reason, that friendship wasn't ready for that conversation. And I think after I had that first conversation and I walked out of that with this amazing friendship that overcame that hump. I think now I feel like if it's somebody worth it, I'm gonna fight for it. But if, I'm not always gonna, when the friendship isn't always gonna make it, but that's okay. At least I know, okay, I gave it my all. That's how much, because it's uncomfortable to have those conversations with people. But I feel like if I love you enough, I'm gonna put myself in an uncomfortable position, in a vulnerable position to show you that I love you. And hopefully I've had a friend talk to me, and I feel like I was so honored the fact that she was telling me that she felt a certain way, that she felt like I was neglecting the friendship. I was so honored because I thought, I know it's difficult to have these conversations. You could have easily like, and again, there's another friendship that we're really close, and I just feel like I think for me, I'm at a place where vulnerability, I feel is very important with women. And someone's ability to be vulnerable with me, like, oh my God, if you're vulnerable with me, I will protect that, and I will cherish that, because I know that's not an easy space to get into. You know, women nowadays, depending on your life, you build up all these walls on especially when you've gone through a lot of pain, whatever your pain be, like, you know, you build these walls so that you can be perceived as strong. And so when somebody puts down their walls for me and allows me in, I cherish that, because I know that that's not easy. So I've had a lot of different experiences with friendships. So I do feel like at the end of the day, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think as long as, if your heart is in the right place, and if your heart is telling you, reach out to them, talk to them. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, I'm still going to be sad, because I obviously, friendships take a long time to build, you know. So but I also have those friendships where I've talked to them, and you know, and nothing changes, and at that point it's like, okay, well,
Okay.
what I leave, there's no ill feelings here. I love you. If you ever need me, I'm here for you. But I'm now at a space where I recognize, well, this is kind of what I expect out of the connections I have, and I understand that that's not where you are, and that's not what you can give me, and that's okay. But I essentially kind of move on. I have to, because I've been there where you're pouring and pouring into a friendship or a relationship, and if it's not reciprocated, and again, there's seasons. There's sometimes where your friendship, maybe they're going through something and they can't reciprocate, and that's okay too. But when that's the entire friendship, then I sometimes I have a tendency to find myself in these friendships, not with Roxy, but because I'm so acts of service and I go so hard that I look up 4 years later and I'm like, wait a minute, like this is now a pattern. But I recognize my role in it. Doesn't mean it makes it
Yeah.
any easier, but
Right.
now as I'm older, I'm recognizing it quicker. And I'm like, okay, I have to be more conscious of that I helped create this. And and sometimes you need to walk away from that. And maybe right now the season for that friendship isn't the right season, and maybe that person is in a place where they have anything to give you, and maybe you table it, like, okay, this is not our season, and that's okay. And maybe in the future, when things are different for us, things will be different, but for now, I leave it with like love, but there's still a pain like that
Yeah.
comes, because any relationship, you love these people, and you want to.
It's kind of like a breakup,
It
right?
is a
Like a
breakup.
Oh,
It is
with
a
yeah.
your
breakup. But
boyfriend.
my
Back to the
therapist was great about, I remember when I was doing therapy, because of like IVF and all the things, I needed a lot of help. I remember talking to her about my best friend, and she was like, you shouldn't rely on one person to fulfill all of your needs. You need to make multiple connections, and you need to nurture that for yourself, because one person can't be everything. Your husband can't be everything. One friend can't be everything. We grow up in this with this like idea of like, oh, best friend. That's when you're younger. Oh, this is my best friend. We have friendship bracelets. We have this. We have, yeah, like it's very idealistic. Oh, look at the reality is that you need to build the women that you need in your life. And it could be one or it could be 20. It depends on you, but you need to build that for yourself. And as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more aware of what my needs are in a friend. I think I
Yeah.
always knew what they were, but I was too scared to admit that, oh, this is what I wanted in a friendship. I was just kind of like, I'll take what I can get. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, this is what I come with. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why Roxy and our friendship leveled up, is because I think she's very similar to me. Like, she shows up hard, you know? And I was reading somewhere, I was having this conversation with her, like, she's a giver. I'm a giver. When two givers are together, it's fucking magic.
Ooh, yes.
You know,
Oh,
so I,
yes. Ooh.
yeah, so I'm like, and now I'm at a place where I could say, I'm okay with saying, I need my friend to be a giver,
Yeah.
because I'm going to give the shit, I'm going to give you the world, because this is how
Yes.
I am. And I want that, even if I only see you once every year or whatever, when we show up, I want you to fucking show up,
Show up,
and
motherfuckers.
not just be like, yeah,
Yes, yes. Or like my husband would say, jetas. Not the jetas. We don't want the jetas.
What's that? What's jetas?
Así,
Uh-huh,
you know,
uh-huh. Or
side
like if
eye.
I haven't seen you, like don't
Uh,
show up and just be like, oh, like I don't want to have a superficial conversation with
No.
you. If I wanted that, let me just fucking go to the grocery store and run, like say hello to any random woman I see, you know? If there's a cocktail and there's a table, like let's fucking go.
Let's go. Let's go. Yes, I completely agree with what you're saying and love your, I can love the person from a distance and because we're limited here in our time, I need to continue on. But what I wanted to say is that some friendships are better off to be loved at a distance, for sure.
And it
You
could
know,
just be for now. It doesn't mean it's forever. Or it
yeah,
could be forever.
or it could be forever. Yeah. I mean, I had a series of what I thought were like my, diehard friends and spirit said stop it. And I stopped it. I stopped pursuing. And that just told me everything. I never got a call back.
mm,
So I
Been there.
realized, I'm like, oh, okay. I was the initiator. I kept going. I kept going. And so I realized, you know what? I'm going to pour over to women like the mariposas who actually want that and value that and come and search me out. And that's, I guess if anything, I want the ladies, amigas who are hearing this, that be one that be pursued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
Mhm.
pursued. Don't be the pursuee. Be
And
pursued.
and and surround yourself with people that are willing to pursue you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Friendships included.
Friendships are included in that. Yes. So, amigas, as we are ending our conversation, anything that you're dying to say, please say it. Sandra.
Oh.
oh, okay.
Yeah. No?
I
Uh, well, I just want to say that, hey, man, let's just continue to grow as beautiful women and share our light and just be grateful for being alive and being healthy and for having the beautiful women in your life, for having your family, for having just just breathing, just be grateful for it all.
Yes. I
I'm
love
so
that.
grateful. I'm so grateful for this moment. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for inviting me.
Oh, no, Sandra, we love you.
Thank you.
Ladies.
I just want to say I wrote down giving back to the girls that give to me. I wrote down I set my intentions before I meet with my friends because I want to know how can I touch their heart? How can I give back? And I wrote that down and that was all Sandra because I thought, wow, that is like leveling up. Like I'm gonna be a good girlfriend. I'm like, I
Yes.
love that. I'm not doing that. Like I thank you for that. So thank you for sharing that because now I'm gonna think about that when I'm seeing my friends, like, how can I show up? Like, and how can I give back? And how can I, make sure that I am filling their heart? So thank
Yes.
you for sharing that, Sandra.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
oh,
I
oh my
know.
goodness.
Yeah, no,
Like that.
Sandra's a love bomb.
She's a beautiful soul. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, she has so much grace. And I think that, whether that comes with age or wisdom, but just as simple as being grateful for breathing, grateful for your friendships, grateful for your family. Like those are the core values, right? Those are very basic. So if we can't be grateful and thankful for those things, how can we pour into friendships? How can we pour into others? So I think that's to wrap everything up. I think being grateful for everything you have, your health, your family, your friendships, so that way you can pour into those that you surround yourself with, your friends, your amigas, your soul sisters, So yeah, I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you,
Ooh,
Jackie.
yay. Yes, of course. All right, but before we go, can someone share a tip on how an amiga can handle her shit?
Sandra?
In friendships, in friendships.
How to handle your shit. Uh, Man, just get up, think about it. See yourself, see yourself living that moment at its highest place, like at its highest love. Just show up like with energy of love. Just show up and express it in each way, anything. It can be making a cup of coffee for your coworker. It can be taking food for your son to school, or just picking up your boy and saying, hey, let's go out to dinner, like it can be anything. Love can be expressed in any way. So that's what I want to say.
Yay.
Show up. That's a good one. Just
Show
show up.
up. Anybody else want to share?
No, I love that. Show up with love.
Show up with
And
love.
yeah, and that takes intention because sometimes, sometimes we have a lot of things going on. So I love the idea of setting that intention. Like, what do I want this to look like? And granted, sometimes I show up super like, Roxy, help me, when I'm having a tough day, and that's okay. But I think for the most part, like when you can, you have to be intentional about the way you show up for your friends. You have to be intentional about the way, to Roxy's point, how you show up for yourself. Because I very much recognize, like, within friendships now, like my intuition is telling me they don't show up like that for me because they can't do that for themselves. Like, of course they can't do that for me. And that's okay. That's just where they're at, but yeah, show up and be intentional about the way you show up.
Yes, yes. Show up, be intentional, show up for love, uh, date each other, um, uh, be pursued.
Yeah, be pursued. And don't be afraid to have those boundaries that says, you know what, I want to be pursued. This isn't enough.
Yeah,
I
this isn't
deserve
enough.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
be with conviction about it. Like don't waver. Don't waver. Because the only person you're hurting is yourself. Because if
Mhm.
your love needs to be filled, your cup has to, in order for you to pour over you, this has to be filled, right? And we get to do it on our own. But wouldn't it be cool and wouldn't it be nice if we had those friendships that also helped out in that?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Because people are going to be like, you should fill your own cup. Yeah, girl, but sometimes Roxy needs to fill my cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Sometimes
Yeah.
Sandra needs to come in.
Sometimes I'm thirsty.
Yes, yes,
I'm
exactly.
dehydrated.
I'm
I'm
dehydrated.
dehydrated.
Well, I'm so grateful, amigas, for being here and Amiga Handle Your Shit. And I know that this conversation is something to be repeated over and over and over again. I think as we evolve as mujeres at different stages of our lives, that we get to love on each other, love bomb on each other, date each other, and just be in communion and support one another rather than striking and having a resting bitch face and being toxic. No, there's
Yeah.
no need for any of that. There's no need for any of that. Well, my loves, thank you so much for being here on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good
You're
day.
amazing. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
Sandra.
Sandra. Nice
Hope
to
I
meet
get
Bye.
to
you.
see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.